Before we start this really fun video, I'd really like to take a moment to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples of this area, past and present. Perhaps you know the story in your area. Where I live, the Indigenous peoples include the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Lunapu, the Wendat, and the Mississaugas. In acknowledging the people and their history and their tending of the land and the stories known and unknown from time immemorial, I think it's important to acknowledge the inherent and treaty rights of the Indigenous peoples of Turtle Island. More, it's important to find ways to commit to the teachings of the Two-Row Wampum, which is about peace, friendship, respect, and the One Dish, One Spoon Wampum, which is about land being shared peacefully and sharing the resources in a spirit of mutual cooperation. And it's really our duty in reconciliation. As I walk this land, may I continue to listen, to learn more, to create safe spaces for Indigenous and non-Indigenous perspectives to meet and discuss the issues that really matter to everyone. I invite you to take a moment of silence to imagine the stories in your area and the ways in which this has meaning to you. Why all of this for a video on a native fruit tree? Well, unlike many other fruit trees that like to grow in the open sunlight, the pawpaw is a tree of the forest, a sacred place where many Indigenous people thrive. As settlers drained wetlands, mowed down prairies, and annihilated the forest, driving out Indigenous peoples, this tree also was sent to the margins, being vastly reduced in population size. As we recover forests, we help bring back many common plants, but also rare ones too, like the pawpaw tree. An Anishinaabe leader recently told me that giving her some of these trees to plant in her community was an act of reconciliation, as the tree and its food are important parts of recovering their ecology and their culture. While I was certainly pleased to hear this, it made me think of other things we can do for reconciliation to help Indigenous nations recover from the atrocities of the recent past and to aid in stopping the current negative impacts that linger, still impacting many Indigenous people today. Hi, I'm Ben Porchuk, and I'm coming to you alive from planet Earth. This video is about the pawpaw, the native tree that gives you the largest fruit of any tree in North America.
Okay, it's large, but not that big. Yeah, that's more like it. This tree is the ultimate ambassador, connecting humans to recovering ecosystems. It's an intersectional champion, interesting fruit growers, Indigenous individuals and communities, ecologists, those interested in bringing back the zebra swallowtail, and people just going along for the ride. What? You haven't heard of the pawpaw?
No. I've heard of it. Heard of what?
Well, follow along to learn pretty much every detail that you need to know about this tree and its fruit. Or you're watching this video because maybe you were selected as a recipient of pawpaw seedlings, and thus you are a part of the Pawpaw Parade, the most amazing, wonderful annual tree giveaway. If you want a pair of pawpaw trees, stick around to the end to see how you might qualify to start growing your own pawpaws on your own property.
Now stay tuned for all of the wonderful facts and figures and the amazing life stories of the pawpaw tree and its fruit. And as a great insight, you'll learn about the Pawpaw Parade, an incredible annual event that may give you access to purchase pawpaw trees or potentially land a pair for free to plant in your own backyard.
Pawpaw flower is big, beautiful, and burgundy. Many native insects are attracted to native plants like this species. And the important one here is the green bottlefly, which pollinates the pawpaw tree. In order to get the fruit, you have to plant at least 2 pawpaw trees, and they have to be within 10 feet of each other.
Okay, so it's early October in southern Canada, and do you know what this means? Yes, the pawpaw fruits are now ripe. And if you go out to any of the few natural populations left, which may be just a handful, a dozen, you can find the incredible, soft, pear-sized fruit of the pawpaw tree. I've just cut one open, and I'll cut one open here. But you can see there are anywhere from 6 to 15 of these fairly large seeds inside. And of course you'll want to keep these so you can plant more pawpaw trees. And preferred method by a lot of people is to use a spoon. But this is where I am right now. I've just brought a knife out here. You can see the seeds are really easy to pull out of the fruit itself. It's very soft. The fruit is described as custard or ice cream like, sometimes orange or soft yellow like this. The taste is really out of this world. It's like a mango, custard, banana combination. And it's been described as a superfood because it's high in antioxidants. It's got triple the vitamin C that an apple would have. It's also got many other minerals and nutrients that are really good for many functions of our health. So I'm going to try a little bit now. It's my first pawpaw of the season. Totally delightful would be the word. And I say delightful because it's like a mirror of the season. The tree in itself is a beautiful mid-sized to small tree that really loves to grow in the shade or the dappled sunlight of the black walnut tree. So you get essentially the whole view of the forest in a taste of the largest native fruit in North America, the pawpaw tree. Excuse me while I eat a little more pawpaw fruit.
Mike MacArthur, Pawpaw Tree orchard owner and donor of much fruit.
If you're fortunate enough to find or get your hands on some fruit, you simply eat the fruit, which again is that beautiful texture of almost like ice cream or a custard. And the best way to clean the seeds, as you can see, the seeds are brown, sometimes uniform brown, sometimes they have this beige. It's important to get all of the meat from the fruit off of the seed. This will help prevent them from getting moldy. And so when you have clean seeds like this, then you have the opportunity to put them in cold, moist stratification, which means they're going away from anywhere from a couple of months to 3 months. They're staying under 5 degrees Celsius, so in a refrigerator or outside, protected from the intense cold temperatures. And during this period of dormancy, they will be ready in springtime to plant. So the way we do this is we get some sand, and it can be completely dry sand. This is a little bit moist here, and we can put it in a baggie like this, any old plastic bag. You simply drop in the seeds. Then we want some drier soil, like that I have in my bucket, and you simply add the same amount of sand that you had in the baggie. I'm going to add a little bit more. And then you want roughly the same amount of water in there as you have sand and soil. So it's about 50-50 of sand, soil, and water, just so that you can't see the water content, but it's damp. Got a little bit of water here. My sand is already damp, and you mix it up really well, and I might want to add a little more soil because it looks like I have a little more water in there. Key thing is to remove the air from the bag, and you can often do this by putting it flat on a surface and then pressing out the air. You don't have to get all of it out, that's okay. And so in the end, we have a bag of sand, soil. You can also add peat moss instead of sand. You mix it all up. It's important to write a date and what you have in here so nobody will throw it out, so you remember how many you have in there. Put it away for 2 or 3 months, bring it out in the spring, and you can sow it straight into the ground, or you can put it in pots. And at that time, usually you wait until June. If you're in a more northern climate, it might not be until the first week of July that you see those first tiny little shoots coming above the surface. It's that easy to propagate this amazing fruit tree. Okay, now we are talking about planting and caring for a pawpaw tree. I've got a little towel here so I can kneel. And I've got my pawpaw tree that I got through the Pawpaw Parade, yeah. And I've got some water, and I've got some extra soil in the event that the ground is a little too hard and it doesn't crumble. Because when we plant a tree, a shrub, a small plant, we want to make sure that the soil is really fine so that it really covers all of the surface area of the root system and doesn't create big pockets of air that could dry it out. So we'll move the tree over a little bit. This is within 10 feet or 3 meters of my other pawpaw trees right there, so I know it's a good spot. I'm going to pick the area and roughly dig a hole the size of the container, which is really the size of the roots. Okay, that really should do it when I look at the depth of the hole and the height of the pot. Now, it's not always easy, and sometimes trees are potted fairly soon to when we purchase them. So we have to be sure that when we pull them out, that they stay with the soil as much as possible, and it doesn't always work out that way. So I'm going to squeeze right here to loosen it. And as you can see, this one hasn't been planted for long. So the fibrous roots are exposed. That means I need to make sure the hole is open. I place it in the hole, and I want this part to be at the top. So every place that you see the soil was covering is where we want to raise that to the level of the ground. Tapping the pot will bring the soil into it, but also some of the soil that I excavated I'll move in. It's nice and crumbly, so I don't need the extra soil that I brought in the pot. Once it stands on its own, I can start to leave it there and bring in the soil that I excavated from the hole. Now you notice I'm not going to jump up and down here, but I want it to be firm in this area. I'll bring in all the disturbed soil as much as possible. Some people will make a small little depression here. It's not really necessary. I will move some of the leaves to cover here, and in a few minutes I'll put some mulch down so that the mulch and other decaying matter on top of it will serve to keep the moisture in the roots so it doesn't dry out as readily. You notice, because I made this area pretty much even, all of the water is sitting right in a small circle around the stem that's coming out of the ground. That's important because I know that water will filter down through the stem and really make sure that the root systems are getting watered. That was easy. That's all you need to do to plant a pawpaw. You need to keep watering them for a few weeks in the fall, but not so much that they're soaked. And they need to be in an area like this that is fairly well drained, organic soil. You can see the soil has a nice dark texture in it. It's not super sandy, but it does have some sand content. This is what you want. And also straight above us is a giant black walnut tree, and pawpaws love walnuts. Go, be strong, be big and strong. You can do it. I know you can.
Dr. Mathis Navik accepted a position in Calgary and donated 100 pawpaw trees to me in 2019. Leveraging this wonderful gift, Carolinian Canada brainstormed and came up with the idea to give away these trees across the zone, focusing on Indigenous communities and individuals. The media ran with this story like a storm, leading to thousands of people applying for a pair of pawpaw trees.
So is the Pawpaw Parade officially on the road?
It's on the way.
I don't know who gave it that name, but this has been so much fun so far. And you've backed up maybe, I think, 200 feet?
Yes. I sort of made it into your driveway.
50 meters. Here we go.
Not much traffic this time of day.
Not much noise either.
No.
All right, so the plan is to drive about, I think it's about 650 kilometers today, stop off to about 8 different sites. And today we have about 50 trees to be giving out to people in Woodstock, Brampton, Mississauga, Toronto, Burlington, Oakville, Hamilton. Then we go to Niagara Falls. We're going to Niagara Falls. Do you want to stop and get a picture?
Absolutely.
And then after that, we'll be heading to Port Colborne and then the Long Point region. And from Long Point, we'll be going pretty much straight to Chippewas of the Thames and then back to London for the night. And that's the official beginning.
This is Steve O'Neill on the left, great friend, neighbor, and donor of the hybrid Ionic car we used for Pawpaw Parade 1.
There it is right there, Port Colborne. We're making a stop there or somewhere near there because the mayor apparently has requested a pair of pawpaws. And when the mayor requests pawpaws, Steve,
You deliver.
this is how it happens. We just open up the trunk and there's a magic collection of pawpaws. These ones? Yeah, these ones. Let's go with these ones. This is for the city of Port Colborne. Here we go. And we've got an in, potentially a lead with the mayor. Oh, this is fun.
This is Donald Craig, donor of over 400 pawpaws over the last 3 years. This is Cora Wysocki, who was critical for the Pawpaw Parade in its second year, planning, orchestrating, bringing it all together, and of course coming along for the ride. Sam White-Eye brought much experience in super connecting powers on the third year of the Pawpaw Parade. Staying on to become Carolinian Canada's Indigenous Leadership Director, her deep caring nature is a much needed bridge for reconciliation. This was a memorable moment as Sam picked and tried her first pawpaw fruit from a tree near Niagara Falls. In 2022, instead of driving all the way across the zone to give out pawpaw trees, we invited several host organizations to come to London, Ontario for a one-day workshop, after which these groups have gone back to their own areas to distribute the pawpaw trees. Over the first 3 years of the Pawpaw Parade, we drove over 4,000 kilometers, distributing over 500 trees, and in 2022, over 600 trees were distributed. Well, there's lots of information on how to care for and steward your pawpaw trees in this video. Go to caroliniancanada.ca in order to qualify for the Pawpaw Parade in 2023, as well as joining inthezonegardens.ca and other information on how to steward your native plant garden right at home. If you are watching this video after 2023, be sure to go to caroliniancanada.ca to find out what you need to do to apply for and be registered for a pair of pawpaw trees in next year's Pawpaw Parade.